The court that was established to prevent the repetition of the Nazi crimes committed against the Jewish people is now turning against the state of the Jewish people and is turning a blind eye to Iran, Syria, and other dictatorships that are committing real war crimes left and right.
Okay, let's speak to the former Israeli defense minister, also one-time prime ministerial candidate, Naftali Bennett. Mr. Bennett, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Are all Israeli soldiers who are going to be investigated for alleged crimes innocent of those alleged crimes?
Absolutely. The Israeli soldiers, and I myself was a commander in the Israeli military and defense minister, the situation is very clear. We have one side who, without any provocation, begins shooting rockets on Israel, and that's Hamas. And we go out and defend ourselves. So this ICC investigation is a sham. And, you know, I tell the ICC, if you're going to do this, put me number one on the list, because I can tell you one thing. We're not going to allow one soldier to be afraid to defend our lives when fighting to defend Israel.
But defending Israel against whom? Because, you know, you say that every single soldier is innocent. You'll remember the case of that young nurse in 2018 during the Gaza border protests. I mean, an Israeli human rights group itself said that she had been deliberately targeted. She was hit with a live round. I mean, that's only one example. There were more than 180 Palestinians killed during those Gaza border protests. And surely you can't say that they were all members of Hamas carrying guns.
Israel investigates every single case very vigorously, so we don't need to be preached by anyone about human rights. The situation is incredibly clear, and I've seen it with my own eyes because I sometimes went out to fight to defend my family. What Hamas does is it places rockets in hospitals, in homes deliberately, in schools, and then shoots at us, at my family. And when they do that, they effectively are responsible not only for killing Israelis, but for killing their own people. Because when a rocket is shot from a school, that school becomes a terror base. And I'm sure, Adnan, that if someone would be shooting at your family, you would go out and defend yourself.
How do you think Israel's image abroad is going to be affected by this? Because presumably there hasn't been any official confirmation, but not being a member of the ICC and not recognizing the court's jurisdiction in territories where the investigations are going to take place, it won't cooperate. So how is Israel's image going to be affected?
Israel's image is fine. Everyone knows Israel's a vibrant democracy, one that takes care of its people, including a minority of Arabs which enjoy full equal rights and serve in the Knesset and serve even in the High Court of Israel. So we don't take preaching from anyone, certainly not from Europe and this ICC court. It's a sham. You know, it's basically taking evil and good and reversing the side. At any given time, we are always peaceful if our enemies don't begin shooting at us. But let me be very clear. Anytime in the future when our enemies attempt to shoot rockets at us, we will go and hit them and defend our people. And that's the real justice. And I think the world recognizes that when a country's out to defend itself, that's the right thing to do, because any country would do that.
Okay, apart from the shooting itself, do you think that just the fact that an investigation is taking place may change some of Israel's actions in the future? And I'm specifically referring to the fact that Israeli settlements are going to be investigated. And international law, as you know, says that those settlements in occupied territories are illegal. So might Israel's future actions in terms of settlements change?
Remind me, who did we occupy that territory from?
Okay, that's a historical issue that doesn't reflect necessarily the international analysis and judgment that the settlements are illegal, right? We agree with that, that's what international law says. Whether Israel recognizes that law or not is a different matter.
No. I asked you a very simple question. We said we occupied it from someone else. Who owned that land? Who did we take that land away from? Because obviously,
again, I'd say to you, it's a historical issue.
Someone's land, there has to have been a state there. No, it's not. It's a legal issue, and it's an issue of right and wrong. Israel is our land. It's our home. Just as Turkey is Turkey's home and Great Britain is Britain's home. No one can tell me that our land belongs to someone else. So one cannot occupy his own land, just like you can't occupy your own home. This is ridiculous, and it's not going to change anything in Israel. We're going to continue defending our people. We're going to continue living in our land. It's a very small land, may I mention, as big as New Jersey, and no one is going to tie our hands from defending ourselves. This is a sham, and ultimately the ICC is going to be thrown into the dustbin of history sooner or later.
Okay, just finally, Mr. Bennett, listen, I'm sorry, I slightly misspoke earlier when I introduced you. You're a current prime ministerial candidate. Is what you've been telling us part of your political strategy and platform?
No, it's what I believe in.
So you'll be campaigning on these issues as well?
No, I'm not campaigning on these issues. I'm campaigning on Israel's economy, on fighting COVID, on incompetence. These issues are not an issue of campaign. It's an issue of right and wrong, of values, of defending your own home. And what the ICC is doing here, it's simply ridiculous. It's taking a great country, the country of Israel, which is a high-tech hub, a hub of human rights. In fact, we're surrounded by these dictatorships. I've not seen the ICC deal with ISIS or Syria, where there have been many horrible things, including chemical weapons. But Israel, the only nation that is operating in this region in a democratic way, is always been targeted by the ICC. This is an anti-Semitic organization that has nothing to do with human rights. I would call it the international circus, not the international court of justice.
Naftali Bennett, thank you so much indeed for your time, sir.